All right, I decided to film these two videos back to back. The last video I just filmed was how to get stronger, right? There are only two ways to get stronger. We talked about building better technique and having more muscle mass, and those are going to be the two ways to get stronger. Now, we talked about that more in detail in the last video, but in that video, I mentioned something when it comes to building better technique, and that was high degrees of MUR, and that stands for Motor Unit Recruitment. Now, what is motor unit recruitment and how can we best utilize it to not only stabilize our body, have a better full range of motion, and allow us to get the best technique so we then can progress and get stronger. So let's go ahead and break that down in this video here. So let me wipe off all of this. All right, so we know that the brain is made up of a bunch of different parts. Now, the frontal lobe is where your PMC is going to be located. Now, what that does is it's going to be the part of your brain that sends signals through your spinal column to your muscles to tell them to contract and relax, right? That's how you move your body around. Without this, you would just be, a mush pile of meat. Now, when we're talking about what motor unit recruitment is basically what we're saying is how effectively can we send signals through the spinal cord to the intended muscle to recruit as many motor units in our muscle as possible, or how many fibers can we contract to resist against any kind of external loading. So the best way to do this is by getting more stability in an exercise, because when we're more stable, our brain naturally has more capacity to then turn off all of its other stabilizer muscles, so it can then send more juice down to the intended muscle so you can generate more force production through one singular muscle versus a whole bunch of muscles. Now, another way we can maximize motor unit recruitment is by the speed at which we contract our muscle. When we're contracting our muscle very fastly, more motor units are being contracted at a time to have more force. That's where force production comes from, right? Force production is just how many motor units are being recruited to complete a task. Now, when it comes down to how we can engage this to benefit muscle growth, we want to experience the most amount of motor unit recruitment, but we also need to get to the involuntary slowing of the contractile phase, right? So when we're squeezing against resistance, how slow we're coming up and contracting against that resistance is what's going to be signaling to stimulate more muscle growth. Now, I'll go into more detail in another video how muscle is actually stimulated to grow, and that's going to be in the second part of the next video that's going to drop, which is, because this one was talking about what motor unit recruitment is, the next one will be talking about how muscles actually built, and those are going to be a two-part series with this one, kind of going into more detail on the video that we just did, which was how to get stronger. But anyway, building more muscle is going to be dictated by that involuntary slowing of the contraction, right? And I'll talk more about that. But why motor unit recruitment is important is simply because this is how we get to the point of stimulating more growth, right? And that's how we can get stronger as well. So in doing so, we need to make sure we do three things. Three ways that we can get more motor unit recruitment is by having more stability, having more focus, and more speed. So let's break this down and actually what this looks like. So when we're talking about what we need for generating more motor unit recruitment or to activate more muscle fibers when we're contracting against load, we need to first look at stability. How stable are we in a movement? The more stable you are in a movement, the more motor units you can recruit, simply because subconsciously your brain needs to be in a stable environment to feel comfortable to activate all of its power all at once. Think about jumping on ice, for example. If you were to jump on ice, if you weren't wearing ice skates, and if you're not a skilled figure skater, and you were just to try to jump on ice, you probably would not be able to jump as high. Not because your legs are weak, but because you aren't able to generate as much force through your legs, because your brain is putting a subconscious limiter on how many motor units you can actually contract against the ground, which is the ice. So that's a evolutionary adaptation that your brain subconsciously has to not be able to recruit as many motor units in unstable environments. So, and that applies to the gym as well. If you're doing some kind of free weight motion, if you're doing like a dumbbell press and you're kind of wobbling on the bench and you're unstable, you're not going to be able to push as much through your pecs as you normally would be able to, because your body is too focused on stabilizing with your back. Maybe you're not focused on generating as much effort through your pecs, so that way you don't injure yourself and fall off the bench and tear something, right? So it's a way of your brain kind of limiting the amount of force production simply because you're unstable. So stability is everything. Now, how do we get stable? Getting stable is really simple. You're gonna want to make sure that you do two things. First, relax and let your body fit into whatever machine or whatever range of motion you're going into. If you're too busy being really tense, really focused on, shifting back and forth, you're not going to be very stable. Now, this doesn't mean be completely limp, right? If you're completely limp in a movement, you're not going to be stable at all. So you need to have some kind of bracing, taking deep breaths in, making sure that your core is tight, making sure that your whole chain of command is tight, depending on what the movement is, and then generating force through your intended muscle. But other than that, stability is going to be really based off of your personal preference and your skill in whatever movement that you're doing. It's also really easy to get more stable using machines versus free weights. So that might be something you want to look into if your goal is to strictly build muscle. Now, the second thing is your focus. If you want to get more motor unit recruitment, you need more focus. If you're not focused on the exercise at hand, if you're not focused on the task, you're going to not be able to generate as much force production. Your brain is the thing that's doing the signaling. If your brain is thinking about other things, if your brain is having to send command to other parts of your body that isn't the intended muscle group, you're having energy that is being wasted. Part of your energy is going to maybe stabilizing. Part of your energy may be going to thinking about what you're going to eat for dinner that day. If you're not completely focused on what the task at hand is, which should be pressing as hard as you can, engaging more motor unit recruitment, then you're not going to be able to generate as much motor unit recruitment. So you need to have high levels of focus. And this comes with practice. The more practiced you are in the gym, the more seasoned you become as an experienced lifter, the more focus you'll have toward your sets. And that's really important. So as you get better at the gym, get more focus and treat every rep and every set with purpose. Number 3 is going to be the speed at which you complete your reps. Every repetition you're completing should be with the intent of pulling as fast as you can. I don't want to see any of this slow and controlled movements. So say I have a dumbbell. This is not a dumbbell, this is my water, sponsored by SweatSphere Fitness. Make sure you join the school, link is in the bio. If you were to go ahead and do a bicep curl, for example, right? Say I'm bicep curling my dumbbell, and this only weighs like 5 pounds, and I'm just, nice and slow, getting a nice pump, getting a nice burn, getting some blood flow to the bicep. I'm not stimulating a whole lot of, growth, because I'm first off not getting to the involuntary slowing of the contraction, and I'm not recruiting high amounts of motor unit recruitment. I'm recruiting what the minimum it takes to get that water bottle up. Now, if I wanted to actually grow from a set of bicep curls, I would need to get, first and foremost, a dumbbell that's heavier, but I would want to generate speed as I'm coming up. As when I'm generating speed through my bicep, I'm able to recruit more motor units because more energy or more effort is needed to contract against that weight. And as the weight gets heavier, even though I'm contracting with full amounts of force, I'm pulling as hard as I can, that dumbbell is still slowing down no matter how hard I pull. That involuntary slowing is what's going to signal for more muscle growth. And you need high degrees of motor unit recruitment in order to get there, right? To expose those fibers or, open up the actin and myosin, so that way the protein titan can lengthen and contract to signal for more muscle growth. But more of that's coming in the next video. So again, speed is super important. The speed at which that you're contracting against your resistance is going to be crucial when getting more motor unit recruitment. So all in all, that's really motor unit recruitment in a nutshell. It's just the signals from your brain through your spinal cord to your muscles. And the motor units are located in your muscles, and the more of them that you can recruit, the more fibers will contract against load, which will then experience more fibers open to that growth stimulus coming from the involuntary slowing of the contraction. So anyway, hope this helps. My name is Josh. If you guys want more detailed explanations for this kind of stuff, or if you want your own personalized workout program, join my school community, SweatSphere Fitness. Link is in the bio. We also have macronutrient calculators. We also have stuff on how to eat right, how to get your body in shape. I helped my dad lose 35 pounds in only 18 weeks. So this stuff works. Make sure you guys go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys inside the SweatSphere.